think your intuition is a powerful thing, and I think people underestimate the power of intuition. We're never taught it at school to, like, your gut instinct.
Yeah.
And because this is like a second brain anyway.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of people get anxious, but they don't know why they're getting anxious. But if they realised that if they were in tune more with themselves, they'd realise that sometimes that anxious feeling is because something might be an indication that something's not right. My parents have always been really open.
Yeah.
I'd say they were like walking angels because they never judge anyone. They always take people on face value. And, you know, with that approach, that's how I looked at everything in life.
Oh, that's cool.
And like, because even though we were brought up Catholic, they always like said, oh, welcome everyone else, because they're too, like, I always think from the same place.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, it doesn't matter what you, because there's something in everything.
Yeah.
What you believe, we've got to be from the same place.
Yeah.
I think it's learning lessons as well, because it's like learning more about who you are yourself so you can help others and progress on your path and get to where you need to be so that you don't repeat the old patterns of behaviour that you've done in your past and past lives before, because you're getting more aware of who you are so you can help other people.
So today we welcome you back on the 108 Flow podcast. Today we have Michaela on from Body Zen You. And you're going to share your journey and why you're interested and why you've got it off on the ground, this 9D breathwork that is transformational.
Oh, thank you, Craig. Thanks for welcoming me here today. Body Zen You has been in the creation for a very long time, because I've been very intuitive since I was a young kid. I was like brought up by my mum and dad, and my dad was, he was like a natural energy healer without realising it. So when we were younger, we've always been open to energies, because we'd be like, do you know when you have a kid and you have a growing pains?
Yeah.
And my dad would like, oh, let me just put my hand there. And he'd put his hand there and you could feel like the natural energy.
Yeah.
So because they were always open to energies, it made me always be open in life to questioning things and seeking. I was always asking questions and very, very inquisitive bit of an overthinker. I've always been down that route. So it's been a passion to always delve into that the holistic side of life. So I've done it for a long time, and it's now obviously I do Reiki, and I'm an intuitive energy healer, so I can do long distance in person where I'm actually tapping into people's chakras and actually can read the whole chakras. I get like a story. It's very symbolic of what's actually happening. But with the 9D, I've been on this awakening journey for a long time, because I was a flight attendant as well. So I was going around the world gathering ancient wisdom by going to different countries, and
it opens up portals as well. They say it opens up many portals within you if you're visiting different areas all the time.
Because it's like a knowing without knowing, and the more you see, the more it like you delve inwards, and then it kind of like you're joining the dots. So the 9D came into it because I was using all these alternative therapies. The 9D is like, the way I see it, it's like the East meets West. It's like the Eastern ancient techniques are now coming with the 9D into a modern world. So it's like using ancient wisdom, modern technology, and you're taking someone on a full 9D multi-dimensional immersive journey to try and create them to connect with their inwards landscape, so they can find out what's holding them back in life. So on this 9D journey, what fascinated me, it's brought in all these different things, and you could bring it to the everyday person that didn't have a clue about all this ancient wisdom and all these holistic ways that might have thought it was a bit crazy. They could come in, put the 9D headset on, and it's in there. It's got guided coaching. It's got hypnosis in there. So when you're becoming, because the whole point of it is that you're taking you out of your mind and into your body, and you're doing you're using conscious connective breathing to get yourself into a hyperventilated state, so that it'll trigger you to release emotions out of your body. That's the whole point of it. So it's doing that. But when you've got the hypnosis in there, you've got somebody.
It's guiding you through, isn't it?
It's guiding you through, and it makes, as you're getting triggered by the emotions, you become hyper suggestible, so it helps you reframe it. So it gives, when you come out of it, you've got like a different take on that experience that you might have affected you a long time ago. But in there, they've also got like quite a lot of like, different frequencies. So it's got solfeggio frequencies that they're proven across all your different chakras in your body to actually proven scientifically to put you back into balance.
Cool.
It's also got 432 harmonic tuning. I don't know if you've heard.
I've not heard that, no.
So basically, they do say that going back in time, a lot of the music was tuned to that frequency.
Oh, yeah, of course I have. Yeah, the radio stations, wasn't it?
Which was very, it put you in balance with the environment and it gives you more cosmic expansion. Whereas now it's supposedly been altered, that tuning to a different frequency, which takes you away from the natural alignment of your environment. Also in there, it also has binary brain entrainment. So that's got like 2 binary beats that are going across your brain hemispheres. And it's proven to put it back into balance. Yeah. And there's one called isochronic tones that does the same thing, but it's 1 beat. Yeah. So it's really, really powerful. Yeah. So like I said, it's when I've done a lot of healing throughout my life. I'm like I'm 45 now. Yeah. So I've done a lot of intense healing. And when I put the headset on and I did a 9D journey, I was just blown away. Yeah. I just thought this is amazing and it can be brought to the everyday person that hasn't got a clue about healing or this type of therapy. Yeah.
Well, that's what I like about it as well, because when we've done it at Dan's shop, haven't we? It's how easy and accessible it is. It wasn't like I've done breathworks before and you get a lot out of them, but you have to put a lot in. Yeah. This were more. I guess there's something for everyone, but I prefer guided meditations, and I felt like it would really ease me in. And it took me back to being a child in childhood, and it took me up to Brimham Rocks, which was one of my favourite places. And it took me on some other journeys, which I'm going to keep to myself. But it were really interesting. How easy it was to get into that state.
And the thing is, you don't have to understand it. Like quite a lot of therapies, say like traditional counselling, like there's a place for therapies, and different therapies people will be attracted to different therapies because they'll resonate with different ones at certain times in life. Yeah. But with this whole breath work, and especially the 9D is, because it's taking you out of the mind into the body, it's like a bottoms-up approach. So with the traditional therapies, you might go to it for years and not really get much progression because you're having to go through all your filters and then accept it, realise it and let it go. Whereas with this, you don't even have to understand it. Yeah. You're in the session, like you said, you get memories that come to you.
It kind of pulled it up by itself. Yeah. Which is really good, isn't it?
And like, when you were having it, can you remember feeling anything in the sessions?
Yeah, I felt it, a twinge in my back. Felt it come up. Apart from that, no, it were more the memories that came up, which I quite liked. I got quite a lot of visuals off it as well, which I don't normally, unless I really got to put the work in. So.
And the beauty of it is that you're using the power of the breath, with obviously being taken on this 9D journey. It's all natural, and you can actually see visuals, whereas some people might go a step further and maybe take stimulants to actually get them visions, or people might not be able to see it, whereas this is all natural, and that's the beauty of it.
I got sent a podcast the other day and they were on about soma breath. That's similar, but they said it's just it's just as powerful as taking psychedelics. It's just, but you're tapping into it yourself, so it's like we are designed to. And the way that I want to break it down is, we had it with my son when he was like, I said, we've got 3 eyes. And he's like, what 3 eyes? And he told kids at school, and the kids going, no, they ain't. And he says, what do you mean? I says, no, it's not like a physical eye that you can see. It is, but the way that I imagine it, I said, Archie, shut your eyes and now imagine a red car. And he went, can you see one? He went, yeah. I says, that's your third eye. That's the way that I perceive it. Is like, you have an imagination. That's all I'd say the third eye is. I know a lot of people blow it up into a big thing, but...
Yeah, it's just like, it's being able to connect inwards. Yeah. It's like, I've had it for years. Like, do you know, from being young, when I'd close my eyes, I'd always see things on night time. And the more tired I was, the more... It'd be like, do you know, the geometric shapes that come into pictures and visions. Yeah, and cool. I think the more you practice it, the more it's accessible. Yeah, because
it's getting back to that childlike state, in that theta state, which we can all tap into. It's just through practice. I didn't have it all the way through my life. I've been creative and I can see stuff, but more that I've got into meditative practices, the more it's coming up and the more the imagination is there. And that's what we're here to do, aren't we? We're here to pull that imaginary state and create with what we see and then bring it forth.
Because don't they say as well that like depending on what you believe, that we live in a holographic universe, and really, how do we know that this is not just the imagination? And when you go to sleep, that's the real thing.
Yeah,
There's that famous film with Leonardo DiCaprio. I've forgotten what it's called.
Oh, is it Inception?
Is that what it is? Where they have the little thing that he twiddles and they jump into different realities.
I think it is. I watched it. I need to rewatch that. To be honest,
I rewatched it and I didn't really get it the first time, but when I rewatched it after, things had happened in life, then I was like, wow.
There's some crazy ones in there. No, even rewatching Matrix, I've rewatched that a few times, and there's new things that I see.
Yeah,
within it.
It's amazing what you see when you want to see it.
Yeah, because I see it's like Agent Smith. When they say he just turns up, like that can be through anyone, anyone you know, or it can even be us. If it wants to be tap in and shoot you down in what you're doing. So yeah, it's crazy. It
really, when you watch that, it really makes you think. Because when I watched it when I was young, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, it didn't go in with me. I just thought it was a cool movie, and now I'm like even where, I mean, it might not resonate with everyone, but at the end, I think in middle. When he sells him, I forgot what his name is, who sells him out, who wants to go back, doesn't he? He wants to go back to the illusion.
Vaguely.
And they go to that restaurant,
I
and they give him, and he's like, I just want a steak. And you think of it being high density, and it's like, he's chose his way to go back.
To get back into
and it's like, there's loads of little takeaways, and you can take away with it what you perceive anyway. Yeah. But I see it as, that for me, my journey is like, that's what I've got to give up.
It's just cleverly done. I think anyone that watched it would now, you'd take something from it.
Yeah,
well, especially where the world is going.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lady who claimed to say that she wrote The Matrix, and she says, I think she said Terminator comes before. I forgot her name, but how she broke it all down, and she says it's biblical. It's like Neo's the one.
Yeah.
And
I saw that.
Trinity, the Holy Trinity is creating like. And if you have a look at what's going on in the world, it is a bit of an attack on.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, isn't it? So where did your spiritual journey start then? Is that with like your dad, the energy healing?
I think I was brought up in my parents have always been really open. Even though I was brought up Catholic, they were always open to... I'd say they were like walking angels because they never judge anyone. They always take people on face value. And, with that approach, that's how I looked at everything in life.
Oh, that's cool.
And because even though we were brought up Catholic, they always said, oh, welcome everyone else because they're too, I always think from the same place.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what because there's something in everything. Yeah. What you believe, we've got to be from the same place. Yeah. So... I think it was having that questioning at a young age and being open to energies. It made me question it more as I got older. Yeah. So especially when I was a flight attendant, I was really drawn to the ancient wisdom. So when I say that, it was I was always wanting to go to these, sacred sites. Yeah. Like Machu Picchu in Peru. So I did the Inca Trail. I think it was 4 days, 3 nights, or was it 5 days? 5 days, 4 nights, or something like that.
Really will. Well, I want to go. I will go.
Yeah, definitely, it's amazing. But so there was that one. I'd been to Australia to Ayers Rock.
Oh, nice.
And done the trek around that. You could at the time when I went there, you could actually climb it.
What is the Ayers Rock, by the way? I've not heard about
that. I've forgotten how to say it it's an Aborigine rock that's out in Australia, so it's all to do with the Aboriginal tribes.
Yeah, yeah.
So I ended up going there, and I also I was always drawn to the pyramids. I went to the pyramids in Egypt. Yeah. I always were then drawn to pyramids in Mexico, so I went to Chichen Itza, and I did a few other ones out there. Yeah. But I was just always into different, how the other people lived and what their traditions were.
Different cultures.
So there was so for instance in Mexico they have Temazcal, and I did that. I'd only done that one quite recently actually. I don't know if you've heard of it, where they have their own little rituals where they're worshipping the stars and they're around the fire, but you go into I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like a sauna with coals in. Oh, right. So they do a sacred ceremony before you go in with the coals, and then you're in this it's like a little cave, and they they put the hot coals in from the fire that you've done the ceremony with, and they put it in there, and then you're all in there, and it's all about breathing. You're doing it for an hour.
Oh, cool.
And it's amazing, the power of the mind.
Yeah.
And how, like, the different emotions that you go through. Like, I went through where I thought, as it got hotter and hotter, I thought, I can't breathe. And at the same time, before we went in, I was a bit thinking, God, am I going to be claustrophobic?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of dogs. And at the same time, they said, oh yeah, we're going in and we're bringing the dog in. And I was like, oh, and it was pitch black. And I was like, oh my God, all I can think about was this dog. Oh my God, what if it comes near me? And then you're having to breathe. And then they're doing the, do you know, the shamanic drums?
Yeah.
And it's getting hotter and hotter. And it is sometimes a bit like mind over matter. And it just shows you that you are in control of your own body and your own mind and your own thinking and your own life.
Yeah.
So doing that as it got hotter and hotter, I was like, oh my God. So I went through all the emotions. I went straight into past lives. I was seeing past lives when I was in this Indian tribal ceremony. It was crazy. And then as time went on, then I would cry my eyes out. And then people in the ceremony were shouting out what they were like shamed of or guilt, or if they felt they had to say something, they were all saying, and it was so emotional.
Yeah.
But it's like when you take from all these, it's just an eye opener, because it makes you go more inwards yourself and learn about yourself at the same time.
Do you think it's like activating light codes within you of like past life?
Yeah.
That's what it's kind of doing. It's the remembering.
Yeah, I feel it is, because it's kind of like that for me. I go quite easy into past lives when I get into meditation, and I think it happened. I can't even remember when it happened now. Probably within the last 10 years that it's happened. But like you said, before it was never like that, and now it's getting more and more. So maybe it is something like that.
Yeah,
because you're becoming more consciously aware of who you are.
Yeah,
and how you interact with your environment and how you're thinking inside.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So, where were your favourite place that you visited then when you were travelling the world? Because you were very lucky to do so, weren't you?
Everyone always asks me this. I don't know, I must have gone to about 70 or 80 countries, because I was really fortunate to work for Emirates.
Yeah.
So before that I was really into travelling, so I did a lot of travelling before, but then when I went there, it was just like I was always on long haul. So 1 minute you could be in China, the next day you could be in back in Dubai, 2 days later you could be in Australia. It was always, I was very lucky. And you could bid for flights. The bidding system were brilliant in them days.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Quality.
I don't know, actually. There were loads. I really liked Peru. I don't know, there's loads. Like Petra, have you heard of Petra in Jordan?
No. Where's that?
That's like,
Jordan,
do you know, like
I've
Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
There's loads of different ones at the Dead Sea where you floating. There's loads for all different reasons. But I do love Mexico. I do love, where else? Europe's always good because it's very diverse.
I've just been watching Tulum. It looks gorgeous there.
Oh, the beaches. I think all Mexico's gorgeous. The beaches are amazing.
I've only been to Cancun. I really liked it. And then we didn't go to Chichen Itza, we went to the other one, started with a T, and it's annoying me.
Is it T-I-J?
Yeah, I think so. Because because Zoe went right into going to Chichen Itza anyway, and went, we'll go to one close, which we should have just gone to Chichen Itza. There were about 40 minutes.
Yeah. I'll tell you where I went to one called Uxmal.
All right.
That was in a bit further up to it was on the peninsula.
Yeah.
I don't know, they've changed it a little bit since I went. Yucatan Peninsula, and it was on the further north of Merida, that way. And it was like the Hunger Games when you learn about the history.
Yeah.
It was oh my gosh.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I definitely want to go travel. I think South America's where I really want to go, and Egypt.
Egypt's good. South America, I've done Rio.
Have you?
A bit of Brazil.
I'd love to go to Rio Carnival.
I've not done that, but I'd like to do that. But there's a lot of, like you said, South America, like Argentina, and loads of other places that look amazing.
But yeah. What's, going on to it, what's your biggest fear that you've overcome?
Oh my gosh. I can't. Well, you asked me this last time, didn't you? And I can't remember.
You don't have to answer. Because for anyone who's watching as well, this is the second time.
Yeah, because the first time.
The first time, and we're going to be open and honest, it went into slow motion. So I had no audio, and it was just in slow motion, because at first it was like 8 hours, so we're doing it again.
Yeah, and we aren't even prepared. We didn't give me any questions this time.
Well, we're just going off at bat.
Do you know what? I don't know, the fear. I have when I said I'm a bit with animals.
Yeah.
And in terms of the dogs, when I did that Temescal, I feel a bit more calmer with dogs since I did that, and that with through breath work. I don't know, I have quite a lot of fears. I remember the rats.
Yeah.
Rats were one of my biggest fears.
All right.
And I've noticed, because last time I came to you, I remember now, it kept happening. I kept seeing rats. So they were like, I was in a park and they were near the water, and I usually would be like, and I didn't really flinch. I just thought, oh, there's a rat there. And then I was driving down near White Rose, and one of them jumped out across the road, which was random. and I was more concerned about killing it.
Yeah,
it got away. And then I was going down near the hospital in Leeds, and a rat jumped over again and again. I just thought, oh, that's cute. And in the past, I never thought that. So I feel like, I don't know, with all this therapy work, it does make you overcome things, because it's all in your mind, really. It's the power of your mind, of how you master your emotions, control your life, really.
Yeah.
And I did the what's it called, Tough Mudder.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did that, and there were loads of things on there which I thought I'd be really scared about, because probably about, I don't even know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, my friend initially asked me to do it, and I said, no, there's no way I'm doing that, because there'll be rats in the water. That's what I said to her. And this time I was going under, I was climbing up, and then I was going into the cold, ice cold. And I was quite impressed at how I didn't even think. I just did it. And I think that's because of the breath work and the other things that I've been doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's just mastering your emotions, isn't it, and overcoming the fear.
Definitely. So what have you found also challenging on this spiritual awakening? Because you said it's been going on a long time.
Do you know what? I think you're evolving all the time. Like when people say, oh, I've had a spiritual awakening, and it doesn't stop. It God, I can't even speak. Consistently, it's up and down.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of challenges. I think I was telling you last time of one of my big challenges is when I was living in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of things going on at that time. I was questioning life in a lot of different ways, because I think in your darkest moments, you can have the biggest breakthroughs.
Yeah.
And at this point, I remember, because I was being a flight attendant, you get deprived of sleep, you're in your circadian rhythms are out of sync. And I was reading up on spirituality and stuff again, and I was reading up on out-of-body experiences, yeah. And I'd never had one up till that point. And I remember, because I was a flight attendant, because we were in the Middle East, it's different to, I think, England, because I've never been a flight attendant here. Yeah. But if you fall asleep on your jump seat, you're fired. People report you. So you get, you like attention, even when it's 3 a.m. in the morning and you want to sleep, you can't. So your body's wanting to go to sleep, but your mind is saying you've got to stay awake. So when you get to a point, I was really bad at sleeping. So there were times where I could work and I might be up 30 hours, because I might have gone to, I don't know, Dubai. We used to do a route, Dubai, Sydney, Auckland, Sydney, Dubai. And it would just constantly, it just messed up your body.
Oh,
and I remember getting on the flight and thinking, oh my God, I've been up for 28 hours. I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
But it was just the way it was. Mm-hmm. So on a night time, when in out-of-body experiences, when you're trying to go to sleep and you've been trained to keep awake, and because of all the different time zones, it's really hard to get into that natural state that we take for granted when I'm now not a flight attendant. And the way I can describe it happened a few times, and then the full thing happened is, just as you're about to go to sleep, your body starts relaxing and your mind should fall asleep as well. But when you're in about out-of-body experience, your mind stays awake and your body goes to sleep. So what happened to me is, I remember my body kind of all I can describe it is, do you know your rib cage?
Yeah.
Kind of shaking like that. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's like your spirit or your the body, your spirit comes out of your body, really, to come out, because we are just more than our bodies.
Yeah.
So at this time, I remember, because I used to always get up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. That was just the way I was, because the air conditioner were on. And I remember just thinking, I remember feeling that, and then thinking, God, am I out of my body, or am I, because I've been reading up on it as well.
Yeah.
Or am I just having a dream and I'm going to the toilet? But as I was going to the toilet, I remember I had a picture on my bedroom wall.
Yeah.
It were a picture that painted. It were Gwen Stefani. I'd done some artwork. It were pop art at the time. And I just remember thinking, as I walked around, because I got out of the bed, I had this double bed, I came round, and it came round because there were wardrobes here, and it went into an ensuite. And as I came round, I just remember thinking, God, I feel a bit sick. But I knew it was, I wasn't sure. But then when I started seeing the, God, what do you call it? The dimension, I can't even think of it, the dimension of the room.
Yeah.
They started moving, and I just thought, I felt really like, this is not right. I feel a bit like...
Disorientated.
Yeah, disorientated, and I felt a bit sick. And then I realised the picture that were on my wall were now suddenly, as I was going into the bathroom. So then I turned back and I thought, I'm out of my body. And then I saw myself and I was like asleep in bed. I was like, oh my God. And then the next minute, it sounds really bizarre. And I've never had anything like this before.
Yeah.
I think you could say this was a spiritual awakening, even though I'd been...
through your paces and
and I'd seen light stuff, but this was like the pinnacle of my spiritual awakening. And it was like I was surrendered, because I think it's because I was away from home. I was going through a really tough time. It was very challenging. I must have been about 31, 32.
Yeah.
And literally I was arched back, and it was like I was surrendering. And up till this point, things were happening before that. I was having like... weird things were happening that I could go into another time, but the whole ceiling, there was no whole ceiling out. It's white iridescent light.
Wow.
And it was like my feet was like, say it with this room, my legs would be halfway up like that. There were no ceiling. It was iridescent light, and it was like all I could feel was this pure unconditional love. And to be honest, I didn't want it to end. I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was like, I just felt everything's going to be all right, whatever I was, because it was I was quite broken at that time, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I feel unconditional love. And then the next minute, within 2 seconds, straight away, back in my bed. And I knew it wasn't a dream. I was totally alert, totally wide awake. I was looking around and I was like, oh my gosh. And next to me, it was like there was a presence of a young boy in a bed next to me, even though there wasn't a bed there.
Yeah.
And all I could think it was like my cousins had lost their brother when we were younger. So I would have been about 12, and this little boy was older then, but at the time he passed away when he was about, my cousin, he was about 7. And I felt like it was his presence in the bed, and I don't know how old, he seemed a lot older than 7, but I felt like it was him.
Yeah.
Well, that week, 2 weeks after, I couldn't sleep. I was so scared. Right. And it were like, I had to buy one of them little baby lights to put on in the middle at night. Yeah, I was so frightened.
Have you ever had something like that happen since?
I had, so when I was flying again, I had another time when I was back home in England, and I'd just had an operation on my foot, because I think I was off work for about 6 to 8 weeks because I had something wrong with my foot, so I had an operation. And at that time, it was just before I was going to have the operation, and so I think I was a bit anxious. And I remember being at home at my parents' house, and I remember having a lucid dream, and the lucid dream was like I was in a car, and I was the passenger, and I wasn't driving it. And it was like, I remember the car had stopped, and it was on my mum and dad's main road, the street, and there was this lorry, and I was like in the seat like this, oh my God, I just thought this lorry was going to come into the car. And the next minute, somewhere, I was then in the bedroom, I was looking in this mirror where I was sleeping, and I was out of my body.
Wow.
And I just thought, oh my God, I'm out of my body. I was scared, and I looked over my shoulder. And no, before I looked over my shoulder, I thought, oh my God, am I out of my body or am I not out of my body? Because I had that feeling again, I thought. So I started running. But as I started running, I was just running like, a cartoon character.
Yeah.
And I was just running. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm out of my body. I looked behind me and saw myself asleep, and I was straight away back in bed. It was because the fear.
Yeah, did that zap you, the fear zap you straight back in?
Yeah, the fear took me back.
I had a little incident of it, because I'd been similar to you, or reading up it, and it was Zach from Embodied Celestial telling people, I've still got his PDFs, of he were giving instructions of how you can do so. So I was practicing that for a while, and then I'd stopped, and then when Tilly were born, I had to come back. I'd stayed overnight. We'd had a rough night anyway.
Yeah.
I came back, sat and meditated for an hour or so, and then I'd felt myself go. I came out of my body. I know I did. I know people will go, oh, you were hallucinating and stuff, but as I'd got so far across the room, I got to where I like the candle in corner, and I went to go turn back, and as I went to get turned back, I couldn't see myself. It zapped me back in straight away. But I had a definite fear, because it were.
I think fear breaks it, doesn't it? That.
Yeah, it's not, because that's what how you said it as well. It starts vibrating. That's what his technique is. He says, get a pillow under your legs, lay still as you can, and you're gonna trick yourself into going to sleep, but your body's gonna stay awake. And you've got to he says it's gonna take about a month or two for you to keep on doing it. It's impossible when we've got kids running into.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to have a go at it again, because they say that you can perform all sorts, can't you?
To me, when I did that, I tried a little bit, but because I was in that sleep deprivation all the time, I think it came easy, because I haven't really tried that method before, because it was like when I was going to sleep on the night, I was then coming out of my body. Whereas I've done the astral travel when I do 9D, and it's a bit I don't know, it's a different feeling. And even in meditation when I've done it, it's different. But that was, I can't explain it, but I don't know if it's because I was so sleep deprived. Well, totally different to anything.
I find it really funny as well, because when you watch cartoons and stuff, when they say like that you hallucinate these mirages and stuff, and you're like, is that hallucinating, or are they just seeing something else?
Yeah.
It makes you question the mind, doesn't it, to what the mind's possible, what's possible.
Because it's like, the way I see it, I know it's like when people pass away, this is my belief. Mm-hmm. I do think there's a higher power, but I just feel it's a higher vibration. So it's like people liken it to going to a different room, but I feel like it's still here on Earth, but in a higher vibration, if that makes sense. It's hard to.
No, that's how I perceive it. That's how I perceive energies all around. Like I can hear them all the time. Not all the time, but I'd say it's been strong, especially over the last couple of weeks. If I stand outside, it's like the buzzing is so loud, and I don't think they ever go anywhere. I think they're always there, and they're there for you to tap into. That's what I perceive as angels. Angels are just angles of light that we can't perceive. Well, I can't perceive anything. I know you've said that you can see stuff. I can't unless I've had psychedelics.
So yeah, I've had like times in my life where other things have happened to me, and like sometimes, like not so long ago actually, I go to meditation on a Monday night.
Yep.
And it's like the men and women are separate. And this particular night I was there by myself, and like I was waiting for the guys to finish their meditation, and the light was off, and I suddenly started seeing all the lighting in the room was beautiful. I saw all the geometric light started coming into the room, like geometric shapes. And then suddenly I just saw this energy come towards me. It was beautiful. It just came towards. But I over the years I've seen so many different things like that. And if you tell, well, he's been on podcast now, but if you tell some people like, oh, you're going nuts. Yeah, but it's just extra perception of reality that you're
of course
tuned into.
Well, when you were saying like we are holographic, it's how they say it, and CIA even say it's like we are holographic. We're like a torus field. We're constantly zooming in and out light. So when it's coming in, like I still question it today, like when I did a meditation early hours of this morning, because I feel like I've been out of balance with myself, not keeping up to it. And when this feeling of blissfulness comes in, and you can feel it rise up, and it goes into your heart centre, and it has done well. You're telling. That's why I know you're not bullshitting me when you're telling me these stories, or guests that are coming on. I know that I'm intuitive with it. There's something inside. There's an energy coming in me and saying this is true. So I know there's angels or angels of light coming through me and working through me to give me the indication. I get the same indication if someone's telling me a load of bull. Yeah. I won't listen to it, or you're not intrigued with it because you know that it's not. Really. And I think that's where as a humans in general, that's why I want to get more intuitive with myself and more in tune and eat the foods and be right with myself, because that's a superpower in itself to know you're already getting guided by angels, angles of light within yourself to stay away from bad situations or good situations.
Yeah, totally.
I
think your intuition is a powerful thing, and I think it's people underestimate the power of intuition. It's like we're never taught it at school to, like, you got instinct.
Yeah.
And because this is like a second brain anyway.
Yeah.
And quite a lot of people get anxious, but they don't know why they're getting anxious. But if they realise that if they were in tune more with themselves, they'd realise that sometimes that anxious feeling is something it might be an indication that something's not right, or you need to resolve something. Do you know?
Yeah. What would you then, for any listeners that are watching or listening, what would you say to be in tune with yourself? What are the things that you need to do? Or you
On a regular?
Yeah.
See, it's having that balance in life.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm the best person.
No.
I'm really good at helping other people, and sometimes I'm not the best myself. But,
yeah.
So I don't know. I think you need to have time for yourself and time for self-love, because if you can't connect with yourself, how are you able to connect with other people and have them personal or professional relationships when you can't even connect with yourself because you don't know yourself? And having time to nourish yourself, and when I say yourself, I also mean your soul, your mind, body and soul. So in an ideal world, if we can practice having like the exercise, and it doesn't have to be going to the gym, it could just be walking in the park once or twice or 3 times a week. I also think meditation, even if you closed your eyes and did 5 minutes a day, just have time for yourself. Eating the correct foods. But I think it's hard today because the nutrition, like the levels of nutrition that we used to have, maybe our grandparents had, are probably different today because of the way the food is grown and the chemicals that's put on the foods. But trying to have a bit of a balanced diet is a start. Even if you say like maybe, I don't know, people might have like 5 takeaways a week, maybe only have 4 takeaways. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I get.
Try and make little steps of adjustment to then try and get back to. Do you know? Because if you do it all, because it's like when someone says, "Oh, I want to lose weight," they'll go to the gym, they go once, and it never has any benefit because you can't do it in one. It doesn't happen overnight. It's like little baby steps.
Yeah.
And I think it's all about balance. That's the key. What would you say?
I definitely think, I know when I've slipped like over Christmas time, I've not had, haven't had the time. I just haven't been, because I've been eating. I know what kicks me out about like eating later. I intermittent fast every day. The majority of the time, so I'll eat from 11 till 7.
See, that's good.
I'm eating above that. So when I eat above that, I sleep more.
Yeah.
And I know everyone will be like, "Oh, I love my sleep." I don't need as much sleep when I'm eating within that time frame. I wake up super early, and that's when I do my meditative practices, because it's when the children are in bed. It's when the world's all asleep, and it's like you've got that room to prepare for your day. You get more in touch with that. That's what I'm doing this for. I want to get a deeper connection with the divine. That's where I feel like that's where I'm more at peace. When I'm not, like today and like recently, I feel when I am out of balance and I've not got preparation sorted, that's when the anxiety will rise, and that's when I'm like, you're always taking yourself away from present moment because you're not prepared enough,
and you're not connected.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's eating the right foods at the right time, or try and make the best choice that you can within food, and not try to beat yourself up. And that,
I think that about your mindset as well, because we all do it. Like the internal critic within us can be really powerful if it's done in the correct way. But when it's negative, because quite a lot of us are really negative to ourselves, and that's more damaging.
Yeah,
and it's fostering that like resilience, but also getting that positive mindset about yourself. Because if you're always putting yourself down, then you're never going to achieve what you want to achieve.
I was really hard on myself when I started, because when I seen all the truth that is to see of what I perceived to be truth, I started going on that, but I was trying to get from here to there really quick.
Yeah.
And it was like, you've got to have them slips, and you've got to realise what's good and what's not bad, what's good or not bad for you, or what works.
Yeah, because I think what works for one might not work for another.
Yeah, no, and that's why I don't try to say that's my way and that's what everyone should do. What works for me, some people are night owls, some people, you know, like we are different. I think that always goes back to hunter-gatherers. They said some people had to watch out for night, so they were night owls. That's where it's gone. But I was beating myself up on little things, and then that'd take me down.
Yeah, it's easily done, isn't it? Especially like for Happy New Year, and it's like, I'm going to do this, that, and then people get after the first week and think, oh God, I can't believe it. I've gone back on what I put my resolutions in place, and then they get the worse off. So you might as well do little steps.
I think with what you just touching on that is something I wanted to talk about is the New Year's resolutions. A lot of people have been reaching out to me recently, and it's something at the forefront of my mind is it's not about doing loads, trying to set yourself up for a fail. It's trying to I think everyone needs to shave off that one thing. We all know what that one thing is right now, and you probably do. You probably got it.
Yeah.
I know what it is. It's just shaving off that one thing and seeing how well that does for a couple of months. Yeah. Just stay off that, see how it is, and then you're like, oh, there's this next thing. And don't try to make this big list and make it so
hard.
Yeah, and then you're not conscious of what's working. You're not conscious of what's working.
It's like gradual, isn't it? It's like I was saying the other day. It's like people want to be this new person, but really, you are that person. You just need to uncover it, and by doing little baby steps, that's all it is. I think gone are the days of the New Year's resolution because it don't work.
Yeah, it don't.
It just makes you worse. I'm like, right, I'm going to quit sugar after day 2. Oh my God, no, I am. I've ruined it.
See, I'm just doing a cleanse at the moment with Charlie's, and what I've tried to do, not tried, I am doing is I'm changing it into a game because that's what we says we need to get in touch with us inner child, and it's like make it fun, like. I don't want sugar. I know how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
But let's see how good my life can get without sugar within a month to 2 months, and let's see what happens. Make it like childlike, rather than go, I can't have any sugar. I can't have that. Make it into a negative thing. It's gonna
see the like positivity in it.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got to change the perception on it. Otherwise, you're never gonna get past it.
Well, it was like me. It was like New Year's Day, and I thought, right, second, I'm gonna go to the gym. But then with this weather, in the past I'd have beat myself up, I didn't get a chance to go today. But now, just like, I'll go when the weather clears up, do you know?
That's what's beat me up today in my head. Because when I got up really early and did my meditation, I said, we're going to come in and do my workout, which I normally do. And I didn't. I went back to sleep, and then it was too late to get into work. And then I was like, now I need to do this, and now I need to do that.
Yeah.
And my mind would just chuck him from one side to other, and I'm like, just forget it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen today.
It's past now.
Yeah, it's not going to happen today. We know where we cocked up yesterday. Today, tomorrow won't be the same, and try to like get something behind it rather than like spoil the rest of your day.
It's so true.
There's only us that's in the batter ourselves.
Yeah, because it doesn't even affect anyone else, does it?
And what does a spiritual awakening actually mean to you? Like. And I've asked myself this a few questions a few times, and it's always just come out with something different.
Spiritual. This is a really hard one because it's like when someone says to me they've had a spiritual awakening. I always feel, because I said it earlier, the biggest part of my spiritual awakening was when that happened.
Yeah.
I think it's more spiritual awakening for me is. I don't even know. This is a hard one to do because I feel like I've been on this journey for a long time, but I've had like 2 times in my life where I'm going into dark night of the soul now. Yeah. But that's different to spiritual awakening, isn't it? Or is it the same?
It's same, isn't it?
Because for me, the dark night of the soul is where I feel like your soul is taking you off the path that you're initially on because it's not bringing you're not on the right path, and it's trying to navigate you back to the course where you've stayed off. Yeah. To try and bring you out of the misery. I don't know. Is it that you're connected to the divine, and or your inner self, or your higher spirit, and that you've starting to become consciously aware of who you are and connected to your soul? That's what I'd probably say.
I'd say
a spiritual awakening is. If I had to put it
into
words.
I went over there wild swimming with my friend, and then he says, I don't think I've been awakening. I says, you have. It says, you're not calling it a spiritual awakening. I says, the way that I perceive an awakening is, when you eat certain foods, it'll trigger something with you don't feel good at, and you can start to see patterns emerging within you and mirroring how you do with other people.
Yeah,
you're coming conscious. Your conscious awareness is stepped up a level.
Yeah,
and he went, well, yours has always been there. Like, even though you made some bad mistakes along the way. I says, yeah, deep down. Like I used to after nights out, I've been drunk, and anyone who's listening to this maybe got one. Sometimes I'd always see the good in people, and I was always happy that someone, like, if they got in a new relationship, end of the night, on the way home, I'd text them and say, I'm really glad to see you happy.
That's so nice.
But it's mad because I don't know if this was like me wrestling with my ego. On a morning, you look at it and you cringe and go, oh, what have I just done there? So you're like, but deep down, I knew there was something nice within me, they wanted to see that.
Maybe that's what, because they say like we're all connected.
Yeah.
And if you look at it like that we're all connected, then we're all connected to the divine, our higher selves, the unconditional love. Then they say, if whatever you say God is, then they say, well, there's God in all of you, if you're all connected. So maybe the spiritual working in is just being connected and being aware of that connection with the divine, the God within everyone else as well as yourself. Yeah,
because how do you pray at all?
Do you know what?
That's a personal question, but...
Oh, no, that's fine. When I was younger, I used to, because I was brought up in the Catholic Church, and up till being about 15, we used to go to Mass every Sunday. Mm-hmm. But then when I started to question everything, I started to question, like, the faith, and I felt like it was a bit of brainwashing. Mm-hmm. I am still, I wouldn't say religious, I'm more like I believe in a divine energy source, and I believe we're all from the same thing. But in terms of praying, so for a lot of times I kind of like turned away from religion and God, or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And then when I travelled around the world, I was lucky enough to travel to all these religious places. So I actually did go to, let me think now. So I've been to the Vatican. I was lucky to go to, I never went to Mecca, but I flew into Mecca because I used to work out of Saudi. I also went to the Wailing Wall, do you know, in Israel? Yeah. I also went to see, where Jesus was laid in Israel. Yeah. And I kind of I realised that there was something in everything. So as I got older, then because I started looking at other religions and tried to, because I lived in the Middle East for how many years now? On and off, 7.5, 8 years. Cool. I learnt a lot about their faith as well. Yeah. Like the pillars and things. Like we just got taught it with Emirates, and when I lived in Saudi for a bit. So I kind of I realised that there's something in everything, and there's times in my life now, and when I try and, because everyone always says practice gratitude, which I always try and practice, but I do now and then, I do pray. Yeah. It's not consistent, but when I did travel around the world as well, I'd go into the churches, and because I always found that peaceful. Yep. So I'd always say a little prayer for my family, but these times as I've got older, I've turned back to it, because I do believe that this higher energy force, or this universe, it responds. Yeah, it's got your back, and the way I know how to connect to it is through prayer, which would be the Our Father, because that's what I was brought up in. Yeah. So is that who you pray to, the Our Father? No, I pray to Our Father, but I say that as the connection, because it's like the prayer. But if when I think about the Our Father, I think about a divine energy. Yeah. So yeah, I do pray sometimes, but not all. I'm not consistent. No, I try to pull it in. Because I do believe there's something greater than us. It's answered. Some of my prayers have answered. Like how my spiritual awakening came about through prayer, and when I were on my knees with it all came through. And then I've had certain situations in my life where that I couldn't control, that I've asked for help, and things have really turned round, and then it's unlocked someone else, and they went on their journey just through it. And so there's definitely some. Yeah. For sure. I don't know if it's all the divine, but I don't know also if you're praying to your highest self. Yeah. So the best version of you is trying to merge the gap between you and... I feel it's all the same thing. Yeah, I feel like it's just a higher energy, and is that connecting within and with your higher self just part of the higher energy, like the unconditional love that we're all... Yeah. Brought into. That's what I would say. It's cool, and that's also what I like about. I was thinking about it today with one of my friends, because one of my old friends had reached out for some help, and I said he's worried because
they're trying to put him on meds and stuff. And I says, just stay off at meds.
Yeah.
And I says, look, there's all these other answers for you. I says, there's stuff that I haven't even tried, but there's stuff that I've tried that you might work out for you.
Yeah.
Or you can find your own way once you start opening certain doors. And that, when it sank to me there, is why I like being spiritual rather than religious is I aren't telling you how to go and heal yourself. I'm showing you a couple of ways, and then you find your own way. It's whereas religion is a bit of a construct, and I don't. Like when I've spoke to other people,
conditioning.
and they want money. They're a bit scared when you say breath work, or because it's like, oh no, you're not allowed to do that. I'm like, well, why is it available to me then? If God, well, you do believe in a God and He created us.
Yeah.
Created us to be able to tap into that. Why would He put something in us that He doesn't?
Well, it's natural as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had. That's what one of the probably questioning that I had was if there's like something like breathwork. Yeah. Is it? I don't want to say, but like certain religions, they ask if it goes against but if it's your own innate breath and it's free. And it's you're in control of it, then like you said, you should be able to do it regardless, and you shouldn't be controlled.
And the other one is like it says your temple. You got given a temple. This is your temple, and it's you to keep clean. And churches or whatever it may be, religious places, houses, they're saying you can only come here and pray, and I don't. That's when I don't.
I understand.
I don't resonate with it at all.
But I think that's when, as I was travelling around the world and I questioned everything, and that's when I realised for me it was all about the spiritual and the higher energy rather than an actual person, if that made sense, because it don't make sense.
No. Well, no, I think it is just an energy, isn't it? It's just an energy form that we can tap into. There's obviously something greater than us.
Definitely.
Like working this algorithm, because as soon as I step out of alignment, things just don't
First
happen.
time I've heard it say that, this algorithm. That's good.
I just think it is an algorithm, and I've like the power of fasting lets me know that is, because when you get through the difficult parts and you're just on a water only, there's things that the day just goes so easily.
Do you know, I tell you, I was watching, it was so interesting. I've forgotten what it was called. A slice of, I can't remember. My friend sent me it. And I was watching about the people that live near the Himalayas.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that documentary. And there's a nun that she goes travelling, and all she's got is a backpack, and she's travelling all around the Himalayas and going to all these spiritual, sites. Yeah. So there's that one. And then there was another one where they live like really high up, and there's hardly anyone in their like village, and they have to choose whether to be a nun or whether to get married. And if they choose married, like they get abducted. They call it get abducted by the other person, the groom's family. Yeah. And it takes them away from their family. But all their family is a simple life. All they do is they all work together, like, doing the harvesting. The kids don't get an education. Yeah. But then if you go and be a nun, it was so interesting because it wasn't like the nun what we perceive a nun to be, looking out at religion. It was all about going round and learning about the ancient wisdom and manuscripts that are in these different places of worship, and some of them it talked about, which were fascinating. I don't know, you'll have to watch it. I'll have to send you it.
You'll have to send it.
So there were these nuns at this particular place, and they were known to meditate all night. So they sat up all night, they didn't sleep. Wow. And one of them said that someone that she knew going back had actually got to that whole enlightened level that she'd evaporated or something. And it's hard to believe that but it made sense when you watch this documentary how it's possible from how they lived their life.
I've seen it when the monks do it. They'll go into fire and they'll just they don't scream out. They just they exit the body. There's some that say that they turn into rainbows.
It's amazing.
It's like they're ready to go. They've chose when they want to go. And
I believe all that, but
I don't think it's about believing. I think it's knowing. It is definitely possible. When you think we're interdimensional beings, people are like, whoa, what are you on about? It's like your mind can go anywhere and it can see things like that you want to bring into this that's manifesting it.
Yeah. It was fascinating. It was just like, oh my God, this is so interesting. There's more that I need to watch, but it's like interesting.
Oh no, it's cool, isn't it? So who's it aimed at, the 9D then?
I'd say 9D is aimed at anyone, but it does help. It, like for those that are not seeking and they're maybe looking for meditation or something to help with anxiety, or if they're stressed out, 9D is perfect because it's like I said, it's using your natural power of your breath with different sound frequencies, taking you on a journey, and you're having a headset and you're guided.
Yeah.
But it can be used in many different ways. Like they're taking it into schools at the moment.
Are they?
Yeah,
that's cool.
They're doing a pilot program down south, and they're working with loads of like school children to help them, especially with today. Like there's so many kids that have got like, I don't even know, ADHD and things like that.
Yeah.
So it can many different, anybody really.
Yeah.
So if you're anxious, you've got stress, you're feeling stuck in life, and you're not sure where you want to go, and you don't know why you're stuck.
Yeah.
It can be subconscious. So just being on this, it can release things that you didn't even know that was actually holding in your body.
Yeah,
that
in your fascia and all the rest of it. Is it then, I know you work down at a cancer ward, don't you, that you do volunteering. Have you tried the 9D with them?
No, I've not. I did it with the staff. I lied. Actually. I did it with the staff and they found it really, really amazing. But where I was working, the ward closed in the summer. It's only just coming back now for reconstruction because we were having like redecoration. So the cancer patients coming back in. But at the moment, I just do energy work and Reiki on them. Yeah.
How do they find that then?
Do you know what? They find it really relaxing and gives them a lot of pain relief. That's another good one for people. I've worked on people, not on the cancer wards, but also outside the cancer wards where they've had back pain. One guy had back pain for 10 years. Had this session, the back pain went.
Wow. My
friend, she had back pain every morning because sometimes people have back pain and what they don't realise, it can be... I've forgotten how it can be like what they're holding on to inside. So it can be actually pain that they're holding on to inside, or it can be a secondary benefit to something else that they're holding on to. And they hold it, it's like a bit of do you know, like when kids have them comfort blankets?
Yeah.
It can be like something like that. So they always hold on to it. So that always reminds them, without them realising, of the trauma that they've had.
Yeah.
So when people can't believe that emotional trauma can hold in your body in something like back pain.
Yeah.
So my friend, she'd lost her mum about, I think it's just gone 2 years, or was it a year? And she'd had back pain every morning. And I did a session in, I think it was October. The back pain's gone in the morning.
Wow.
My friend, he had pain in his knee. He'd just had surgery on his knee, and he's a runner. And I went to see him on the Friday, and he was like, yeah, I hadn't been able to run yet. And he had pain in the knee. We did the session. I said, how's your knee? And he went, oh, the pain's gone. Yeah. And then 2 or 3 days later, went to see a consultant. He was back running.
Quality.
It can shift.
Have you looked into the healing circles that they had in America early on? They used to have women. They used to and they call them witches now because that's what I'm understanding. Going back
to, is it there was a book called The Crucible in Salem?
Yeah, it's like that time because when people are going, oh, they were witches, they were just herbalists or they were energy healers. They were called witches because it's easy to throw them under the bus now. But there were healing circles, and I think they banned them in America, of where they get a patient that were maybe having severe back pain, and they get 5 or 6 healers around them, and they'd work on them, and there were records of them being completely healed after.
Well, in a past life, I was meant to have been a witch in a past life.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people that are deemed a witch in a past life are like now bringing it into this life and going back to the energy healing.
Yeah.
But just what you said about America there, I don't know if you remember, I can't remember exact days, but they used to have holistic schools going back, and they used to use energy machines in the hospitals to actually help the patients be relieved of all these symptoms that we have, these illnesses that we have today. And what happened, a famous family came in, and they actually brought in the pharmaceutical industry, and they brought a lot of, I've forgotten what I read it on one of the groups.
I know exactly what family you're about.
They brought in a lot of the friends on different boards, and in the end they all voted and ended up closing down these holistic
because
schools.
they all used to have rooftops as well, didn't they? And they put them out in sunlight.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that.
It's just.
But it's amazing, like, if people look back in history, and they see what was there going back in time, to what's not there now.
Well, we've severed his connection. That's 100%. Like, if you watch any animals where we're told not to look at the sun, that's what all animals do. They all ground and they all stand at the sun. And it's, again, I watched the other day
gazing.
when it were on about the Sphinx over there. So it's showing you it's completely grounded and it's looking
at the sun.
But it's all told it's nonsense and it's woo woo.
Church bells as well.
Yeah. I did a bit of sun gazing last year, and the energy that you feel after.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, and it's just.
Well, it's like when people, and I used to think, oh, I go on holiday, I feel amazing. And what I realised is it's having my feet on the ground, in the water, and like being in the sun, because that is what people don't realise. But as an energetic being that we are, we're not just this.
We are nature.
Yeah. And that we need that to balance out and nourish ourselves. Because we are, it's to do with the water as well, and like the energy from the earth. We need to have the electricity running around us to replenish our battery. We're like a battery.
Yeah.
And people don't realise that.
Well, that's what's interests me is like the pH level of yourself. You've got to keep it alkaline.
Yeah.
And that's where you're energetic. But if you look at all food that we eat, it's acidic. Everything's acidic. And the things that I've got more into is realising why I'm getting a lot of acid reflux off a lot of food, and it's like I'm not supposed to be eating it. If that's doing
the supermarket is full of. I'm a worse one, but it's full of processed food, and it's really hard to eat clean.
Do you know what? It's found it's easier. It's the sugar. If the sugar goes, if the sugar is going, I'll be pretty much. I've looked how much it scrambles my brain.
I'm the same.
Because I think about it. I think about eating it too much through that day. So it takes so much brain power. I'm like, and once I have it, I have dry mouth straight away. I'm gasping for a drink, and I feel like crap. I'm like, why?
It's like an addiction, though, isn't it?
Well, they said it is number one. It is the number one drug.
It's like supposedly like heroin.
Yeah, and it's available.
In terms of addiction.
Yeah, and you go for a chocolate bar. Well, if you go to a petrol station, see, I'm already saying chocolate bar. I said petrol station, chocolate station. But it's all strategically put where you're going to be standing and queuing. They're not stupid.
It's all marketing and branding, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we fall for it every day.
Yeah, so but it'd be interesting. It's interesting because I think everyone's starting to get more consciously aware of these foods and what they're doing to us. And the more that we get in tune with ourselves, who knows?
And I think, I don't know if you remember this, but when I was at school, I remember the first time they said, oh, do you know, genetically modified, this was going back now.
Yeah.
Genetically modified food, you're going to be able to make our own. And it was sold to us like it was this amazing thing. But when you think about it, that's not natural.
They've been playing about with it for years though, because once I went on this journey and I were looking at everything, bananas that we eat, they're not, if it doesn't hold a seed, it's GMO'd.
Oh, it's.
And then I went down to watching Dr. Sebi, and I was like, he's just like, everything's like a kiwi, and that wasn't a thing. Pineapple, not a thing. He's like that, and he went through them all, and I'm like, he's bullshitting. And you go Google it up, and it's
quite scary.
Right. Everything's GMO'd to a point. But if it hasn't got a seed, you shouldn't be eating it, because and like, that's grapes. Every single grape on the shelf.
What should we be eating these days?
Well, it's anything that can reproduce, because that's God. That's like, well, the divine did everything to make sure it could reproduce, and everything that doesn't reproduce, it's something that we've had a hand in.
Do you know, when you look at it like that, when you said the divine, everything that's made to reproduce, it's amazing when you look at that unique intelligence of that energy that's created this world. When you look at all the geometry, to like even like look, the bees and the honey and like the flowers, and it's incredible, really. If you look at it, if you take yourself out of this world and look from above, it's genius.
Yeah, well, I've said
we don't really appreciate it,
one
because
of the
we're
most
in it all the time.
sophisticated games ever, because it's like, if there's any illness, there's a herb for it. And that's something that I noticed when I did come off at sugars, and I did a long stint off it last time, is I know bitter stuff and a lot of people don't like, and I didn't particularly like. Now once you start taking sugar away, bitterness is actually something that you start to enjoy. It's only because
Because you get addicted to that sweetness.
Well, they had they were trying to, well, I'd seen it a bit ago, it said like what the Bible were trying to get at is demons. Demons are parasites.
Yeah.
And if you look at them under a microscope, they look like, and you think they know how to drive. If you know it's bad for you, sugar, why are you going and eating it? Because there's that voice in the head, and it's like...
Well, they're saying the parasites are all over the body, and if it goes like to the brain, that creates the Alzheimer's, and like then you've got like your...
ADHD.
And also the metals, toxic metals.
Yeah.
When you start looking at it like that, it's a whole like new ballgame, isn't it?
I know when I'd stopped eating meat, and I definitely... I ate it over Christmas, but I won't touch pork, and people are like, oh, you're Muslim? I'm like, it's not Muslim, it's like... It's a dirty pig. It's a bottom feeder.
Someone were telling me that the other day. It eats like anything.
The worms within that gets in the pig, they're supposedly really bad for your brain.
I don't eat meat, so I'm all right. Well, I'm all right up to a point.
Yeah, well, I seen the one the other day as well. They were on about that they've inverted about lobsters and crabs and prawns. The bottom feeders. They are the cockroaches of the sea.
Yeah.
And they eat just any old crap. So, like, people... So
see,
they've
the thing with me,
overpriced
I
it.
have, like, fish, but I don't like shellfish, so I'm still all right.
You're doing all right, aren't you? Intuitively.
Yeah, but they say quite a lot of it's farmed now, isn't it? And that salmon's not meant to be picked.
Yeah, I won't touch salmon. I won't touch it unless it were wild. And then there's... It's, the things with... The thing with me and staying off meat was I'd got it in a journey, on a psychedelic, a mushroom journey, telling me not to. And then you wrestle with yourself because it's deprogrammed. Everything that I used to eat were with meat. And then it's more, everything's a sentient being and has as much right to be here. And then how the Essenes were lining it up, and Jesus, and they were saying is, who are we to take it away from them? And I know everyone's like, oh yeah, but we'd be overrun by them. I'm like, no, we're not. There's plenty. Garden of Eden is everywhere. Yeah. We can eat anything.
Anything.
So, what's your reason? Have you always been?
Do you know what? I was like, when we were younger, I was brought up on meat. Mm-hmm. And when I was 8, they had mad cow disease, so we stopped eating beef.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just got really sensitive to it as I was growing up in school. I got really health conscious. So there were a lot of stuff that I started, because I was at that age, I started cutting out when I was about 14. I didn't eat beef again after we stopped eating it. They gradually started eating it, my family, but I didn't. But I went off everything. So when I was, from being about 14, 15, all I had was, this is random, chicken, turkey, fish, and a bit of bacon, ironically, because I couldn't give that up. But then as I got older, to being about, I think it was about 25, 27, I started thinking, oh, them poor animals. Yeah. And I didn't really particularly like the taste of meat. Yeah. So when I was about 25, 27, I'd now and in between that time, I might have a bit of chicken for protein. Mm-hmm. It just started falling off. So when I was about that was the last time I had chicken, and that were it. And no. I
seen one other day, and I thought that it'd be quite fitting. It says if you could get people up and say, right, kill that animal and like carry on. It says most people wouldn't even do it.
I'll tell you what happened to me when I was backpacking. When I was, how old was I? 21. Yeah. I had a third cousin that lived in Australia.
Oh, cool.
So they had out there. They had 10,000 acres or something ridiculous, because out there everyone's got like thousands of acres. Yeah. So they had this farm, and I stayed on with them for 3 weeks. And I remember the husband took me out a few times, and they had I was driving the ute, and they had 3, sheep dogs?
Yeah.
So I didn't really think much of it. And then one day, he didn't tell me what we were doing. So I was driving this ute, and we stopped at this pen. He said, Michaela, we need to stop here. And I was like, okay. And next minute, we were in this pen, and they had all these sheep running, and they were like, bah, and they were terrified, and he was trying to capture them. So eventually got one of them, and it was shaking like anything, and it got put in the back of this ute that I was driving with the 3 dogs. I felt like someone were doing a robbery and it was getaway drive. That's what I felt like, that I didn't even know I was doing it. So eventually we're like, oh, Michaela, I didn't want to tell you, but this is what we do out here. So I drove back to the house, and next to the house, I didn't realise they had a slaughterhouse.
Wow.
So obviously I went inside and I was traumatised. I was like, oh God. So this is when I was really like, oh, I don't even think I can eat anything. Do you know, like...
Put you off.
I was crying like, oh my God. So then the next day, he didn't tell me anything. So we were walking away to go back into the field. And I looked back and he was like, oh, Michaela, I wish you hadn't looked back. And on the top, what they do is they kill it and then they spread it out to dry. And I saw the whole sheep and I was like... So I think I might have even been younger when I actually stopped eating.
Well, we stopped on a farm not long ago. We did a white... families were there, and then you could hear all pigs screaming, and then he came over and went, I've got some fresh sausages if you want.
My God.
And even they went, it's a bit brutal, that, innit? And I'm like, yeah, just a bit.
Could you eat that then, if you know that it's just been killed?
No, but I think... I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed eating meat well over Christmas, and it's something... It's always... that's where I say the Matrix is like my dad did it a bit ago. I'd not on the Chinese.
Yeah.
And I'd gone round and he says, oh, what can we have to eat today? And I went, oh, we'll have a Chinese. And he went, what, are you eating meat? I went, yeah, I'm gonna today. And he went, yes. And I went, what was that? And he went, I don't know. And I'm like, that's an energy of he knows what I've let my guard down. And I was more pissed off at myself than I were him. But it's insane, isn't it?
But it's funny though, because like, if people saw it killed in front of them, maybe there were a lot of people that won't eat meat. But because it's so there, readily available on the supermarket shelf, people don't have that association, do they? No.
This is where maybe I'm going with it as well, is we're over-consuming. Yeah. We wouldn't have to do all that if we want... That's where I want to see us at, as a unit. And it kind of goes through my head.
We only eat as much as we need.
Yeah.
And not have like the extra or be greedy.
Yeah, it's the food wastage as well. But it's the product of design, isn't it? Yeah. It's like it keeps everything ticking over and everyone busy because there's too many sectors to it.
I know I'm jumping, but it's a bit like fast fashion. Like everything is consumables, isn't it? And it's like it's ready available. Yeah. So people don't value things as much as they used to do maybe in the past when you couldn't get stuff. Yeah.
The other thing as well, that this is going through my head, and it goes through my head quite often, you know that a lot of people are getting into fasting now. Oh, yeah, I think is the divine just getting you ready because there's going to be a point of you to not be a lot of food about, and I'm like... It's just quite odd that everyone's getting into it.
I'm going to say last year it was toilet rolls.
Yeah.
Now it's food.
Well, I said that straight away. I says, "What? Can you imagine if that's what it was like? Would you that?" I says, "What happens when it's no food?" I'm like, they've already showed you Hunger Games, and what's the other one? Oh,
which?
It's in the loot. It's not Hunger Games. Purge. Where you watch that and you just that's exactly the same. It's just
is that Demi Moore? Is that new one with Demi Moore or not? No,
I don't think it's Demi Moore. I can't actually remember who's in it, but it's like they say, for 24 hours you can do whatever you want. So everyone just goes
and gorges on everything.
Well, no, they start killing each other, and it's.
Oh, do you mean like? Sorry, I thought you meant for the food. So
no, they're doing that. They're doing everything. Yeah.
Oh, I won't be able to watch that. I'd be too scared.
No. What? So, what's been your most magical experiences apart from the astral travelling?
God, let me have a look. What do you mean in terms
that
of
you're willing to share? Like,
do you mean like in terms of just like the energy stuff?
Yeah.
Like seeing things.
Yeah.
Let me think now. I'll tell you what's kind of like magical, but it was a bit scary at the time. In about 2005. When I wasn't really a confident driver, and I had a little Vauxhall Corsa, and I was driving to my friend's house near Pontefract way, and they were a bit of a dual carriage, if I remember exactly.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get practice, and I remember driving this car, and it was like I got into the middle of the road, but I had something wrong with the clutch. It kind of like the power went in the clutch, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the road. I can't get to the other side, but I can't go back. And all I saw was this big like truck just coming towards me, like a big massive I can't even remember, it were a big like road truck, and I just thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to die, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I went into a bit of panic, and then suddenly I just thought, the fear went. I thought, there's nothing I can do about it, I'm going to die, and I just accepted it. And the next minute I was on the other side of the road, and it was like zzz, And I was like, oh my God, how did that happen? And I realised it was divine intervention.
Yeah.
So somebody out there realised, like one of these angels, that I wasn't meant to go at that moment in time in my life. And I realised the term is divine intervention. No one ever told me that. I just got given that that's what happened.
Yeah, like quantum jumped, but...
Yeah, it was like my time on... Yeah.
That's cool. That is cool. I've heard of a few recollections. There were a bloke on YouTube we were watching. He said he's the same. He was going to the back of a truck, and he says the next thing he woke up, he was like, he were a few yards back. It was like it replayed it.
Oh, that's...
And then there were another bloke. A friend who I know. He says that there were kids used to do like jumping over bushes.
Yeah.
You know, like as you're doing, pissing about. And he'd gone jumping through this one, and he was going to go through a glass greenhouse. And he says, like, if he said something lifted him up and just took him over it, he says
it's crazy. You can't explain it.
No.
I'll tell you another one that happened to me. It was just, I've had loads actually when I think about it. These are just ones that I can tell you like that. So this was before I lived in the Middle East. I was with my friends, and there were 3 of us in a car, and we were going to my other friend's house, and it was somewhere near Horsworth, Guiseley. I can't remember. Was it Horsworth? I can't remember anyway. But anyway, we were... do you know when you just think of, like, timing? Mm-hmm. So my friend, she's one of them that sticks to, if it's 30, she'll stick to 30. Like, and this is going back. So we were driving. My friend was sat in the front, I were in the back, and my other friend were in the passenger side at the front. And, like, literally, remember just seeing these 2 people just crossing the road. And the next... It were all like... Oh my God, if she'd been faster, or if them people had crossed like further on, it would have been fatalities. So like literally, these 2 cars had been racing. Let me think how it happened now. And I think that we were on a bend, and there were a house with a wall. And what had happened is, they were boy racing each other, I don't know. And literally, it ended up that one ended up behind us, right? She'd obviously slammed on. The other car flipped up, hit the wall, and ended up like that on its roof.
Wow.
And it just was like an inch away.
Yeah.
And in that time, the airbags came out in the car. Them 2 people had just literally crossed the road like a minute before. And you just think of all these people. The guy got out of the car, no injuries. The guy behind got out of the car, no injuries. We didn't have anything with our car, and these 2 people were fine. I just thought... How has that happened? Do you know, like, you just, you think, God, someone that has, that's all timing. It's like, that's the synchronicity that's happened there, but somebody's made that could have been fatal.
Oh, definitely.
It was like, you just couldn't even write it, like and then there was another time when I was in, this happened in 2 consecutive, like, instances. I was going to see my friend, one of the crew had an operation. He was in one of the private hospitals in Dubai, and I'd come back from the college I think I was actually at the airport. It was late at night, it was about 10:30, and somehow don't know how I did it, but in Dubai I was really tired. I'd come off a long haul flight, and like there was when you turning down, like, do you know, this off a main street, I don't know if you see Shakes Road, it's got like 6 lanes going across. When you're coming off the feeder roads, they have like little poles like that.
Oh, right.
They're really, really small. I don't know how it happened, but I clipped it, and my car did like it was like, it did a 180, it went 180, but obviously I knew how to get back. So, and luckily on that 6 road, because it was quiet, there were only a few people there. So I was just thinking, oh my God, I don't even know how I've had nothing happen to me in the car. So anyway, I got to this hospital, and when I got into the hospital, it was so weird. So I came in, my friend was like laid on the bed. As I came round, it was like there were loads of glass shelves. There were like a sofa here, and I just sat on the end. And I don't know why, there was a duvet on the sofa. So I had the duvet just like me like that. And the next minute, I just heard this, and it was like someone had shot the shelf. It expanded, into thousands of pieces, and it came round like... It was like, say like it was there. It came round like that, and there were big chunks. And like, I couldn't believe it didn't even hit me. It didn't hit them. I don't know what it was. It was just mad. Like, is that the kind of thing that you're on about? Or do you mean more like where I've seen the energies? Because I see energies all the time.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
I can't explain it.
When you said that, it blew up.
When I said blew up, it was like someone had shot the shelf, and the shelf had shattered into millions of people. There were big chunks. It were like someone had shot it, because some of the pieces and the amount of glass, we had to get moved to another hospital.
No, I believe you. You just triggered.
You just couldn't
sometimes
explain it.
things don't happen to you, but we went to a caravan holiday with my family and my brother's family, and I got a pint, and I shouldn't be drinking. So I got it, and we were drinking anyway, and it was by itself, and it just exploded at the table.
It's mad,
and went everywhere. They knew that I wasn't anywhere near it, and I'm like, well, that's a sign.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Well, like, it just exploded as I walked in, but I don't know if it was the energy that I was emitting at that time, because it was that time when I'd had that out of body experience. It were all happening at the same time.
You seem to go through spurts, don't you, when it's happening?
Yeah.
And do you want to share up on the dark night of the soul? Do you think you're still within that, or is the hope that you want to share upon it, or do you want to?
Do you know what? I can share upon it.
Yeah.
I probably got to a point in my life where I don't really want to go too much into it.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where things were happening, and it was like what I said, like to you before, like sometimes I didn't realise at the time, but sometimes you can get to that place because your soul is crying out for help, in the fact that it's on a path that probably is not the right path for you anymore, and you're probably going to stay on that path, and you're probably struggling, but you can't get off that path, so it kind of like takes you away from that path, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And uncovers a part of you to try and help you connect back to yourself, because it was a point in my life where I got to a point where I was so disconnected from me, because it was easy to go along with the reality rather than to go along with someone else's reality and in the reality that I was living in, rather than to connect to myself and think, oh my God, this isn't right. This isn't right for me at all.
Yeah.
So it was a point in my life where it was probably about 2019, now into 2019, where I probably might not have been here.
Yeah.
But I literally, when you realise that life is a gift, and that we're here for a reason, then it gives you a different focus and perspective of the way forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, cool.
Yeah.
So where do you think it all lies for you now? Where do you think it all fits in?
Do you know what? I think we're all always evolving.
Yeah.
With myself, I try and help people the best I can at this moment in time. I'm doing the 9D to try and help people so that they can overcome things that they might not know that's where they're getting stuck in life, or even like getting rid of trauma out of the bodies and helping them so that they can see where they're going in life. Maybe they need to be moved onto a different path. What I try to do myself, especially because I'd never shared that with you before, but with that, I just try and find peace in me every day, and try and help others find peace in theirs.
Yeah,
and
that's beautiful.
Who knows where that will take me? Will it be a long term? Will it be? Who knows? Because I just think life's a journey, and if I look at my life so far of how many different things I've done, because I haven't always just been a flight attendant, I've done so much more before. I never know where it's going to take me, and that's the beauty of life. It's all about the journey, not the destination, isn't it? Yeah,
it's not. We're not supposed to have it all figured out, are we?
Yeah.
And I think what a lot of people say is just follow the thing that excites you most. Go follow that.
Yeah.
And as long as you're putting some good in the world, it's like a feedback loop, and whatever you're putting out is going to come back.
Yeah, because it's all that energy, isn't it? Like if you're putting negativity out, then eventually that's going to come back to you. Because it's always like the positive and negative. Yeah. If you're putting it out, then it'll come back to you eventually. It's like I don't want to say karma, because I don't even do we realise it's karma?
I definitely say it's a feedback loop in itself, and it is a karmatic wheel.
But I think it's learning lessons as well, because it's like learning more about who you are yourself, so you can help others and progress on your path and get to where you need to be, so that you don't repeat the old patterns of behaviour that you've done in your past and past lives before, because you're getting more aware of who you are, so you can help other people.
Yeah. No,
but
definitely.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Just want to say thank you.
Thank you for coming on again.
Let's hope it records this time.
It has recorded.
Oh, it has.
But thank you for coming on, Michaela.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to come here today and share the story.
No problem at all.